Great. Now let's move on to one more complement of the pre-market research ethos, which was there at TILS. So that is the market research audit. Now the word audit explains it all. And when we say market research audit, the company already has an in-house capability spectrum about conducting market assessments. So this is exactly what its exercise is going to be. And the company did not deploy or employ any external consultancy or any external consultant or a set of experts to do it. It deployed its own market assessment team to do it because there was an advantage to it. In fact, many advantages. And one of the most important advantages was that this team, one, had been doing this stuff for quite some time. It understands all the perquisites of such an exercise. And two, what's more important than anything else is that it is in absolute sync with what the company does and what the company wants, because it's part of the company. It's not an external consultant or a consultancy which will ramp up its understanding about the company's working dynamic. This team is a part of the company per se, and it understands the company better than any external consultant or consultancy would ever be able to do. So they started off with their own audit. Fine. So basically, a market research audit is an exercise in self-assessment and precision on the following counts. The company wanted to understand whether it's fully equipped, primed to go for this market assessment exercise. Fine. The first complement is market research leadership, followed by market research organization structure and hierarchy, market research capability spectrum, market research philosophy, market research toolkit, facilitators and processes, market research GTM timelines, market research talent genetic, market research deployment, and market research budget. Now, these are the key complements, fine, that go into an audit. The market research leadership, the company has a dedicated market research team, a market assessment team. So in order to understand whether the current leadership is up to the mark, let's go for a visualization also. So in order to understand whether this leadership was up to the mark as far as the ambit of objectification, the objective realization of this assessment exercise was concerned. I mean, do we need some external leader? I mean, of course, it was found out that they need somebody to lead this team, somebody who has had a higher skill matrix than the current individual managing it. So there was a leadership replacement. And then the structure, how is it structured? Is the structure in consonance and synchronization with the working dynamic of this assessment exercise across the European continent? Because till this time, they've been doing it across a multitude of industries, even Europe, for various companies whom they offered a market assessment solution. But then again, it's an entirely different exercise to be doing it for a client as opposed to then doing it for yourself. Not that you are any less serious when you do it for a client, but this is a different ambit. This is a different scale of operation. This is an entirely different niche. Fine. This is a massive vision enunciation for a company of this scale, and this has to be done right. So the structure was tweaked to make sure that it's totally in sync with the requirements of the assessment exercise, and then the capabilities. The kind of objectives which are laid out in the objective list as part of the strategy formulation, the market research strategy, which was crafted and developed into a market research plan. The company wanted to make sure that it has all the capabilities to deliver. Of course, it was discovered that there are certain trainings which need to be doled out to the market research team members across various niches and levels. Fine. So that was accordingly done. And then the philosophy, what's the guiding philosophy? We already know a lot of things about the company through its vision and mission statements. That was something which was considered to be the driving force as the company's philosophy. The company's philosophy is to create a pro-human world, and everybody was in sync with that enunciation in the market research team, because that would be their guiding beacon when they went for this market assessment. And the toolkits, the kind of tools that they need. When I say tools, I mean the kind of software tool for data designing, data crystallization, data analysis, design methodologies and stuff, ultimately the dissemination, also the creating of particular MIS, which would sort of inculcate all the details of the market research exercise and stuff. So new toolkits were developed by the in-house software team, which is part of the technology incubation hub out there. And a go-to-market And not that it's a marketing exercise or not that it's a sales exercise, it's a market research exercise, but there's a go-to-market for it also. I mean, strict timelines, time and space continuums were scripted, and there were mileposts which were crafted so that timelines are utilized and objective realization happens in sync with those timelines. Fine. So that was the go-to-market part. And then the talent. I mean, is the market research team equipped with the right kind of talent to undertake this daunting exercise, this huge market assessment exercise, this huge continental market assessment exercise, which is going to be multi-industry, multi-domain, multi-function? So it's going to be a lot of exposure, a lot of expertise, which is going to be involved in this exercise. So was the talent core and the talent genetic up to the mark? Of course, it was understood that a fresh infusion of talent needs to happen basis various skill sets are required for this kind of an exercise, and that was actually done in quite some time. And then the deployment, how and when and where to deploy whom in this market research exercise, because you cannot be firing your guns all at the same time, depending upon the criticality of various stages in the market research lifecycle management. I mean, people and experts with different skill sets had to be deployed to make things happen, whether it was designing the methodologies or deploying these tests across the field, which is the industrial landscape of Europe, and then analyzing data and crystallizing it and inferring it and running the algorithms and crafting the MIS and then going for the dissemination and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff had to happen when it came to deployment. And then one of the most important complements, which companies or businesses or consultancies have to take care of is the budget. Now, given the scale and scope of this exercise, this entire market assessment exercise, I mean, it was not a surprise for the company to understand that it's going to be a substantial investment in the assessment exercise itself, because of the bandwidth of this entire exercise, the market assessment exercise. So the company was primed, it was ready, it was already, in sync with the requirements, the budgetary requirements of this exercise. And it made sure that budgetary inadequacies do not crop up and impediment the pace and, crop up as hurdles in the fine and seamless execution of this assessment exercise. So it was in fact preemptive, on part of the company to come up with this kind of a facilitation. I mean, they made sure that budget does not become a constraint when it comes to effective functioning or effective enunciation of this market assessment exercise. So all these factors were assessed as part of the market research audit exercise, and wherever it was recommended that some things need to change or there needs to be addition of talent or skill or toolkits or capabilities and or talent genetics or structural tweaks or leadership infusions or deployment timelines and idiosyncrasies, I mean, all that was done. All this to prime this organization for the actual realization of its objectives, and market research was one of the complements to make that happen. Find this entire market assessment exercise. But the company did not stop here. It moved on to various kinds of analysis like PESTLE analysis, moving on to market analysis and SWOT analysis also, which is something that we'll be discussing starting off with PESTLE analysis in the forthcoming slides. Thank you.